Want to know everything that happens to your 6-month-old baby? Do you have a food introduction? Do you have tips from Aunt Anna, from Helper Kids, talking about development games? Let's also talk about vaccines and that mother talk that we have and love. You want to know all this? So stay with me and I'll tell you. Hello, I'm Monica Romero. I'm very happy to have you here with me. 6 months of life, and there are, of course, my highlights that I talk about now at the beginning of the video, and I will highlight 3 things from this month for you that we will better develop the first food introduction. I look forward to this moment. Oh, I have tips to give you, but I will say that not every child does that gag right from the beginning. We have to insist a little. We can't give up and continue stimulating. Another important milestone is that now that the first teeth will begin to appear for most babies, some already have teeth, others will appear later, but it's also an important milestone this month. And the last thing Aunt Anna will tell us straight is about babysitting. Can you sit at 6 months without support? Aunt Anna is coming to tell us, and it is with 6 months of life that the baby is more free to walk, to go to parties, to go to the supermarket with mom, to go to the mall, is more free because he is stronger. What if your child has already started attending school, or else her maternity leave is over, now 6 months old, she started school. He also begins to have more contact with other children, and he may also have more cases of viruses and flu and colds. Kids who go to school, right? They even have 13 episodes per year of diseases such as viruses and flu. And colds. And that's why we will also talk about the flu vaccine this month. Let's start with vaccines, since this is such an important subject. At 6 months, if the campaign has already taken place, your child can already take the first dose of the flu vaccine. Remembering that the difference between the SUS vaccine and the private one is that the private one has slightly greater coverage for viruses, okay? But the SUS vaccine is also an excellent vaccine, but it's not just the flu vaccine this month. We have the 3rd dose of 3 more vaccines. The same one he took in the 2nd month, he also took in the 4th month. Now in the 6th month, he has a pentavalent booster, 3rd dose, which is against diphtheria, tetanus, whooping cough, hepatitis B, hemophilia, influenza type BA. The difference between the SUS and the individual is that in the individual, it also has greater coverage, and also the reinforcement of the VIP, which is against polio, which causes infantile paralysis. A good tip about vaccines, I'm going to leave this video here about reactions. That's not what you can do, but try not to schedule anything for right after the vaccine or for the next day, because for your child, it is inside his house, the environment that he is used to, it is more comfortable and will help in recovery. So not having events the next day post-vaccine can help a lot. If you work outside, try to get this vaccine on Friday so you can be watching your puppy on Saturday, okay? But since we talked about vaccines and health, that means the baby can walk more now, right? And during the tour, my special tip to you is keep naming everything you're seeing. Now you can leave the baby facing the front side of the stroller. What does that mean? That he can already see what you are seeing, but if he is insecure, he returns to your side, you bring security to him. But if he stands in front, you can show the tree, the flower. Wow, wow. And keep saying these names well pronounced so that he also starts repeating them. Soon he'll be calling the car, the bus, the truck, the train. The more animals he can see, the more immersed in nature, the healthier it will be for him too. Walks in the park remain more recommended than in the mall. Because the mall, despite being a safe place, a closed place, or a place that doesn't rain, that doesn't have wind, still has many people, still has a lot of viruses, while in nature, it will be in contact with the purest air, with more beautiful things even to see, right? As I said at the beginning of the video, this is when the baby's first teeth should appear. Generally, the first teeth are the lower ones, but I'm going to leave this image here for you to follow the general order of birth, okay? Not all babies will have the same order, but that's usually how they appear. If the little tooth appeared before, it had to be cleaning. This tooth has to be brushed baby teeth, yes? If by chance they haven't appeared yet, there's no need, and this hygiene will last until the end of life. We have to do it. We have to take care of hygiene, and it's something that they usually don't like very much. So it takes a little work, but it's worth it. It's better for us to have work and have healthy teeth for our child than cavities. In fact, an important thing. Okay, there is bottle cavities, which we call, which is a cavity that can occur now during, right, while he is still breastfeeding, drinking milk, whether breast or formula. And it has a canal, the baby tooth has a root, but when they fall out, our body begins to absorb this root because the permanent is appearing. But it has roots, yes, and may have to make a canal. This is extremely painful. You have to take care of your children's teeth and the sign that the tooth is emerging. This is how the baby gets more angry. But now you will tell me in the comments, do you think the birth of the tooth causes fever? 111. And if I tell you that it's a myth about gum rupture, right? For birth of the tooth and the baby does not cause fever. What can cause is that due to irritability, he is taking many more objects and hand to mouth, and with that taking many more viruses and things that may be contaminated. It can cause stomach pain, viruses, and many other different conditions, but it's because he's taking everything into his mouth much more voraciously. So the birth of the tooth itself does not cause fever. What could trigger is something he put into his mouth that was contaminated. At 6 months, the baby begins to find people who are not in his life more strange. What does that mean? Before he could go easier in the lap of other people, and now he begins to seek more the faces and smells, the people he is most familiar with. Of course, this may have happened before, as there are children who have a slightly more social personality. For example, you may not be feeling strange, or you suddenly sympathize with a person and go, but it's natural that they start to feel weird and don't want to go on other people's laps. Some even don't even want a lap of people they know. You can just want your mother's lap, just your father's lap, just your grandmother's lap, and sometimes you want your grandmother's lap and you don't even want to go back to your mother's lap. All this can happen now with 6 months because they know even more what they want. And speaking of wanting, do you know one thing that we want our children to be readers? And what do? We encourage them by reading to them. They love stories, and if you have books or even comics that have plenty of pictures to show while you read, it will be even richer, this moment between you. If you have an artistic vein, take advantage. Start staging some scenes. Speak with a different voice. When you are a man, when you are a woman, when you are a dog, you train your artistic vein, which can be a lot of fun, and the kids have fun. The more clowns we are, the more laughter we get from the children. At 6 months, your baby still lacks the social restraint of not showing feelings. What does that mean? That he demonstrates whatever feeling he has, very obviously. So if he has frustrated, he will show that he is frustrated. If he has sad, he will cry. If he has angry, he will cry. If he has happy, he will smile. It does not have our filters, which sometimes from time to time, some senses, feeling. So the baby's feeling is usually very obvious. What makes us a little frustrated, that we wanted him to give a disguise. They don't give this disguise. So we have to see this behavior, understand what he is feeling, and try to act in the best way so that he can feel good, even start naming the feelings. Can you tell your son, I understand that you are sad? He will know, whoa, this feeling I am having calls sadness. I understand you're frustrated. I understand you're happy. Oh, I see you're elated. Name these feelings. This will give him maturity later. Be able to name his feelings and have fewer tantrums, because he will be able to explain to you the name of what he is feeling. Let's talk about one of the things you're most looking forward to this month. Do you have a food introduction? Food introduction is a moment full of expectation for us, right? We adults, because we are already waiting for the child to try that thing, and she will love it and she will make a splash and it will be beautiful. And usually what they crave is a different texture. It's a different way of swallowing. It's a different way of interacting with food. That's where Obel Woblu arose, is the child. If you are the protagonist of your own diet, you have to cut food properly. There are videos about this, but it is important that you know that you cannot give any food in any way. They have to be in proper shapes, and let the child put in his mouth as much as he wants. If she wants to knead it, if she wants to put it in her hair, if she wants to put it on her head, she wants to rub it, she has to leave it free. And then little by little, she will start putting these foods in her mouth. Isim, there are several indications that Obel W helps the child to eat more diversified than the children who should food introduction, right? Or they feed through baby food, which the mother offers. There is no wrong method. You can do the method that best fits not only your baby, but also your lifestyle. For example, a mother who stays too long, distressed with the child, playing with the food, throwing on the floor, spreading on the head. It can cause anguish to the child, so she will understand that that moment of feeding is a moment that brings anguish. So for this mother, maybe baby food and what she puts into the baby's mouth is healthier. For the two, this is just one example among many others. So always talk to the pediatrician, understand what are the foods that are already released for your child. Are not all the foods that he will be able to ingest now, for example, since 2017, cannot give more fruit juice to the baby, nor natural juice, because when we give the juice, we are giving the child fructose, which is the sugar of the fruit. It's a better sugar than this industrialized one, but it's still a sugar. But taking away the texture, the fibers, right, often vitamins, because after making the juice, he is already losing some of the vitamins, so we no longer give juice to the child. With all these recommendations you find here in the Almanac of Parents, but mostly talk to your pediatrician to see what foods you already are. Your child can already consume what you can already offer. Oh, and no blending cucumbers in a blender. By hitting the blender in the mixer, we are breaking all the fibers, which are important for digestion and even for the functioning of the baby's intestines. So if you need to knead the baby food, you can knead it with a fork and then you go, right? Leaving those portions every time. Less wrinkled, more like what we consume. In the beginning, he had to give the dough a darker mash with a fork, never with a mixer or blender. And of course, milk remains fundamental to your child's nutritional diet, okay? And of course, you need to always be very attentive to food allergies that your child may present during introduction. And that's why we have to strictly follow the pediatrician's guidelines. Including no offering honey and other allergenic foods. I'll leave this video here for you that talks a lot about it, but the most important thing is to observe the appearance of redness, swelling, seek emergency care, or contact the doctor as soon as possible. Then came the anticipated moment, day one.
I arrived, I'm back, and let's talk about this incredible month, which has a lot of news that I've already seen that you told.
I told you news, but what can you not do at this moment and run on your Instagram and follow Helper Kids to talk a little more with Aunt Anna? Take away the doubt. Do you have a lot of cool tips? And Aunt Anna, our favorite physiotherapist, tells me about 6 months, the child has now gained a new skill. Age, is there any big news for this month in development?
One of them you already mentioned is the food introduction, right? Well, for that, this baby must show signs of readiness.
What are the signs of readiness?
Does the baby have to sit with minimal support? Not necessarily this baby has to sit alone, that is, without falling. But when he's sitting with minimal support, he has to be firmer. He can't be that baby all over, so we want this baby well positioned. But that doesn't mean he's sitting alone, that is, on the floor.
It is also important to have tweezers.
He's going to start doing this a lot soon, but he still catches a lot with his whole hands, right? They make a little change in the support of these objects in the hand, but in a little while comes the tweezers.
Oh, here, this is very important because he will be able to catch smaller things. So now he crushes the food to try to catch it. It is still expected that those who are going to try OBLW will realize this a lot, right? This is very apparent in the way he will try to manipulate objects. In fact, he won't always take one, for example, a carrot like this. He can take the carrot like this to bite the apple between his fingers, right?
And that hot mess we see. But that's what Monica said. Each family will do what they believe is best for the mother or the person they are feeding, right? And also for the baby, we will have to look at this child a lot.
Diana, I want to go back to the sitting story. Is it possible to sit alone now with 6 months of life in the 7th month of the baby's life?
Some babies are already sitting well without support, and they do this previous protective reaction very well, right? Which is where they put this little hand in front a lot and they can already manipulate the object in their hand very well. Some babies are not yet. They are still sitting with support, so always observe how this one is sitting with support. So everything the baby did before reaching this stage that we have already talked about, rolling, pivoting, catching the little feet, the little foot, taking the mouth. Not all babies are foot to mouth, but many do. So all these milestones that happened before, so that this sitting comes more and more and more, he has the baby have balance in this position, that he will train on this. And there are several very cool things that parents can play with the baby they already have. Sitting alone or sitting with support. So what can we do with this baby sitting there? We can use the breastfeeding pad, which we already commented on in the previous video. We can use a cardboard box. I love playing with a little playing card. There are families who decorate, make planes even, all drawn. You can use toy box that you have at home even. Just be careful, right? Because of the edges, if the baby ends, go a little further forward or to the side so as not to hit, but be careful. Do not cover the baby's head, that this box is here at shoulder height. So many times this child holds this box, has the support in the front, has the support in the back, and has the support in the side. So it's super, super important that you explore all this a lot.
And you can also order these boxes at the supermarket. In fact, one of the best and most colorful are those of A de Ovos, the egg box. She's super tough. Then suddenly you arrive at the supermarket and say, I want an egg box. That box that comes with the packaging, and they can be great for playing these games.
No, and enjoying the egg box, even though the eggs come. You can use a lot of stuff there, so you can explore and let the baby feel an amazing texture. Is it different? Then use it. Imagination has a lot of things, right, that we can look for there. It's creativity, right, copying there. Some people have already done it and give it to our baby. And the sensory panel is really cool, guys. You can make different things, Eve, cardboard, anyway, use your imagination. But tell us, right, Monica?
And you can post your photo on Instagram, but tag us so we can see it. And we really go, because we are curious, we comment. We love seeing what you are doing with the tips and with so many games, with so many, the stimuli. The baby is already changing a hand toy. Take a spoon here and put it here. Can you do it?
Many children are able to do this at this age. Monica transferred the object from one hand to another and also pick up two objects, then each object in one hand. And then they start exploring. Some will do a little later.
And you can already tell if you're right-handed, left-handed, ambidextrous.
No, it's too early. We will be able to establish this in approximately 4 years. Some babies. Then at 23 years old, we already start to have one, observe a strong preference. But let's be sure a little later.
We already know that sitting baby is already dominating there, right? With or without support, it's already firm. This already means that I can start leaving him on his feet or encouraging him to stand.
As we have already said in other videos, we will expect this. It's always a suggestion. Of course, you wait for the baby to stand up, and at that age, there are already a lot of babies who are very exploitative. Trying to grab your clothes, trying to grab the crib rail and standing up and...
There.
Many people ask, but can I leave? I won't. He has 7 months to live. What do I do, guys? If the baby is doing it alone, it is because he is prepared. So you can leave it like that. He explores that it is different. When you stand the baby up, you can understand the difference. So if he's doing it alone, prepare this environment. Be careful, right?
Lower the crib, lower the mattress for more safety.
Watch out for falls, right? So you always have to have an adult nearby, but what if he doesn't do it yet? Hold on, in no time they will get there.
But when I pick up my little baby and I support him, he keeps trying to do those little jumps on my leg, and I stand there supporting this. Maybe it's also better for me to avoid it.
We always ask you to avoid it when he starts pulling you and supporting that little foot, because whatever he finds a support for that foot, he will stretch that little leg. If he starts doing that, okay. Now, if you take the baby and you start encouraging this, we ask you, suggest that you wait a little while so that the baby really takes. Monster that he is prepared.
Lydiana know that joke that usually starts around the 6th month of life we're in. The baby turned 6 months, he entered the 7th month. That game of throwing objects on the ground continues.
Wow, it's the favorite. They're in the chair. What do they like to do? Throw the object and look what is happening. And they often lose this object, right? Because it falls under the table, it falls under the chair, and they keep looking at us and waiting for an adult to pick it up. So enjoy this game a lot. And another one that we also talked about back in the other video was about the cloth, right? What you thought. So now this game becomes more fun, and there is something else too that we can play a lot because they start to imitate what we do. What you're doing are the songs, the singing, I love it, the tra-la-la, the yellow chick song. Anyway, guys, there are several songs or those that you find interesting and that you like. Sing to them. They will try to imitate because they begin to observe more and more the movement of your face, what you are doing with your hand. They start trying to dance with their own body, which is incredible. And there is already a baby who is already starting to dress up as a kitten at this age.
Every month we have to talk about, is Tammy time still in its 7th month of life, or is it already a phase of the past?
This baby will increasingly want higher postures, that is, sitting and trying to stand. You will notice that the time he goes to the belly, down, he automatically tries to put himself in the position of the cat, or he will crawl back. But he still has some right, guys. They cannot sit alone.
Crawl, can you do it yet?
Some babies, folks, are able, yes, at this age to start crawling. But crawling is expected from the 7th to the 10th month, so calm your heart. If your baby is not crawling yet or is not dragging, often the baby may start dragging backward and then he comes dragging forward, or he already climbs into the kitten position. There are many things we can do to encourage this phase, but let's leave it for the next video. The
baby, he's lying on his stomach. When his stomach is up, he already spins, he already dominates that space.
He already rolls pivot. He does several things in this tummy down position and with much more skill than he did the previous month. E. And we still have to be very careful, guys, not to leave these babies in bed. We are reinforcing it here because it is very important, because accidents happen. Let's avoid it.
And finally, I wanted to know a little about the body proportion, how we are weighting, because we used to have a very heavy head that the baby, if he moved his head, would already fall over like he is today.
At this age, the head is already more proportional in relation to the body, different from what it was when they were little, that the head is much larger in relation to the body. And then the child often ends up rolling, right? Since turning due to the weight of the head, but now he already controls it very well because we already have this head that is more proportional in relation to this body.
And don't forget that when in doubt, always consult the pediatrician. Watch your son, how we always have our cell phone in our hand. If you want to film something that you think is not appropriate, or that you want to show that you think it is an achievement, that it is coming too soon, always record it. Don't forget to tag Aunt Anna when you're there on Instagram by taking a look at the videos or posting some of the tips. Aunt Anna, thank you. And in today's Mom Talk, I want to ask you a hard question to answer, huh? How is the child's father involved in the child's care? We have that father who is mega participatory, who does everything Papa, every work present, but we also have that father who always has other things to do, right? We have two kinds of mothers too. The first is that which means how the father has to do. Hold it like this, do it like this. This is how you put it on ours. Didn't these clothes you put on match? You have to put another one on. And there's the other mother who leaves, she'll do it. I was once that first mother, the mother who wanted to tell her exactly what her husband had to do. And then when he was going to take a shower, I would say, no, don't shake it too much. It's time to sleep. Don't put it up like that because you're afraid. No, because all that, I was imposing my ways. I was driving the father away from my children. If the child is safe, if the child is okay, everything is okay. And we have to learn that our son has a father and a mother, and it's natural that color is different. May the smell be different, may the voice be different, may the approach be different. That's the father my son has. If it's safe for the son, reinforces this phrase, if it's safe for the son, we also have to let the father be a father, and we also let the father be a father. And the more the father participates, cares, and is present, the more he gains. Our son has, but not only he, we do too, and I'll explain why. When our son is familiar with his father's care, if he gets hurt, if he gets sick, if he needs someone, he has at least two people to count on, the father and the mother. And that means that when he needs help, he doesn't just ask you. You are not the only person who will be able to welcome your child, whether sick, for whatever it is, the father can too. The father welcomes. It also brings security to us because we know that our child is right in the father's presence, regardless of whether we are near or not. And now comes our winnings. If the father is present and also takes care of us, this frees us to take a bath. You know your son is fine, careful, he's going to take a shower, free us to have coffee with our friends. Is the child okay? You know that the father takes care, rules well, knows how to change diapers, feed, put on clothes. Didn't you agree? It's okay. Those shorts don't match that kid's blouse. That's okay, isn't it? It won't make the child be mistreated. It won't let the father be a father. It will free you. And when we realize that we have a father of a son, present, cool, who is there participating, it makes us more in love with him too. If that's your case, there are some that we don't want to fall in love with, right? But if that's your case, we start to admire the relationship more too. It becomes healthier. And the gain for the father in this whole story is that the more he cares, the more love hormone he produces, the more bond he will have with his son. So letting the father take care is benefit to the father, it is benefit to the son, it is benefit to you, it is benefit to everyone. So when you're feeling kind of jealous because his bath is more fun than yours, remember that while he's bathing, you'll be able to take his bath without hearing imaginary baby cries. And when you are jealous because your child is having so much more laughter at the play with his father, which the father does, at the imitation he does, than at yours, remember that your child is having one more experience. He has two people there to count, win for everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to let me like it for myself, share with friends, tell in the comments how you are, and I'll see you in the next video.